This is the host of the Simpsons Did It podcast, here to talk to you about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. 1, it's free. 2, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast, all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor:/FM to get started. Welcome to another episode of The Simpsons Did It. I am your host, Steven Skolansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
Well, we are on to episode 11. Wow. We are only 2 episodes away from the season finale. And by season finale, I mean, we're not going to let you go for 3 months and then come back later.
The Simpsons season 1 season finale.
Exactly. And I do have to say, it's amazing all the feedback we've been getting from everyone.
It's been fantastic.
It is so heartwarming to know that people are listening. Obviously, we love The Simpsons. You guys love The Simpsons. But we've been getting so many things. Like one new segment we're going to do today, kind of spawned from a couple of messages, is corrections or enhancements from our fans from listening to our episodes.
/corrections.
/corrections. And then the other thing is we've already been getting feedback on things we should do in the future. And I'm going to post this on Facebook, but how would you guys out there feel about doing a collective top episode from each season? Or me and Robert will build a top 5 and we can fight over whose top 5 is better.
Mine.
So just kind of spitballing ideas for the show. It's amazing that our fans actually want to be involved, and me and Robert are going to sit down and we're going to come up with new ways for everyone to get involved in the show, because The Simpsons should be a collective fandom and not just us listening to it. So thank you guys so much. For those of you that listened to our radio show on Monday, our rerun of episode 1.
Well, this is week 11. Yeah. So by the time they listen to this, it'll be episode 10.
Yeah, it'll be week.
Or no,
week 10 here. Behind. Yep, week 10 here, week 5 on the radio. So yep. For those of you that have been listening in on the radio, awesome. I'm glad you want to listen to our reruns. Hopefully it turns out better over the course of the few weeks, because they were kind of late from that 7:00 start. But yes. It was technical issues, so
hey, it happens.
I mean, just like the radio station in Springfield, they will be replaced by the the Auto DJ 3000.
Man, that's got to be a future episode that I haven't seen.
Oh, you haven't seen that one? Oh my God.
I don't think so.
Just wait. Okay. So we're gonna kick off the episode right now with some corrections and enhancements. So Robert, why don't you take us away with the first correction?
So the first correction, as was pointed out by one of our fans, the real Jessica Brandel. I'm hoping I'm saying your name right. You shot us a message saying that Matt Groening's name is pronounced Groening and not Groaning. I don't know which one of us said it, but thank you for that. I believe I knew that, but in my mind, the way his name is spelled, I always want to say Groaning and not Graining. So
just think of it like you're on a farm and you have some grains, and we're graining the grains on the farm.
There you go. And the second correction this week is in our first podcast, I had mentioned there were 17 episodes. That was wrong. There were actually only 13. That was my mistake. I don't know where I got that 17 episode list from. Maybe made it up in my mind. I don't know. But there's only 13 episodes in season 1, which means in 2 weeks, that's where we'll be at.
Yep, it's amazing that no one pointed that out. Or it was just so new, like the episode was so new that people are like, I don't know if we should reach out to them. But we are telling you, feel free to reach out to us with our mistakes, because we're human. We'll make a few. Even though we do kind of cheat week to week by watching the episode in full before we, go on air. So if we make a mistake, it is really we suck. So so make sure we hold ourselves accountable. All right, the last thing we got for you is an enhancement. Eric Nanarone. He's actually the gentleman that got us on the Cuyahoga Radio Valley Network. He pointed out in the episode where we watched Kearney and Dolph and Jimbo.
It's
Jimbo, yes.
You're right.
We
I don't have to correct you on that.
No, we were kind of talking about ages and where everyone fit, and he pointed out that Kearney and Otto were in the 3rd grade together. So if you guys want to put together how many years Kearney was held back, or Otto was actually held back, because it seems like Otto was older, let us know. We'll do a contest. How many years do you think Otto was held back in the 3rd grade that Kearney and Otto were in the same grade together?
Feel free to tell us if you can find that answer.
Perfect. All right, guys, we're going to kick off episode 11 here. The title of the episode is The Crepes of Wrath. It's almost like the Grapes of Wrath. I think that's what they were going with.
Grapes of Wrath?
Although it would be, the title wouldn't have been bad if they went with the Grapes of Wrath, because, Bart squishes grapes and he has a wrath for them because he's so angry while he's crushing them. But crepes is better because they're in French and crepes are French. So,
They're in French?
They're in French.
They're in France.
France, that's right. The air date, April 25th, 1990.
April 15th.
Sure. You're smarter than I am.
Also, I have the notes right there.
I know, right? If we just read the notes. Yes, April 15th, 1990. All right, what about this recap? What do you got for me?
All right, the recap. After Bart causes mischief, he is sent to France in an exchange student program. The Simpsons get an Albanian with ulterior motives back to them. So,
yeah.
Oh boy.
I know. Russian spies, right? Well, though Albania's not really in Russia.
Albanian. And we'll get to the reason why they picked Albania towards the end of the episode. Because I thought it was kind of neat why they decided to do it.
Cool. All right, so chalkboard gag this week. Garlic gum is not funny.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's a great prank.
Now, some of these I think we're going to start looking up. I think during the week after this airs, so you guys listening to it on Sunday and Monday, I think later in the week, I'm going to do some posting on garlic gum ads and kind of joke pages from comic books. I think that'd be kind of hilarious. Because garlic gum really, I feel like it was like a 1960s kind of gag type thing. I don't know when. I don't know when it was invented, but I know it was like kind of like you get a pack of gum. You tell your friends, "Oh, you should have this stick of gum." I don't know where Bart gets it, but I could see this being something that is sold at the Quickie Mart.
Probably. Well, what about the prank gum where if you stick your finger in, it like snaps on your finger?
Yeah, that would have been funny too. But garlic gum you actually have to eat, and then your breath smells like garlic all day.
Gross. Although I don't mind the smell of garlic.
I wonder who garlic. I kind of want to know who Bart pranked.
The teacher, of course.
You think it was the teacher?
Probably.
Maybe. I guess that would make sense. All right, so the couch gag. We got another repeat again this week. The Simpsons sit on the couch, Homer pops off, and utters dough.
Yep.
Sad.
Very.
I know. These repeat, man. I can't wait till we get like new couch gags every single week.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. All right. So open up the episode, man. Bart's in his messy room.
Yeah. I mean, he's 10 years old?
Yep.
I mean, our rooms were messy at 10.
Yeah, but
I didn't have a frog in my room.
No. But it's kind of cool that Bart has a pet. I mean, Santa's Little Helper still doesn't exist yet, so...
So I actually looked this up. So first of all, the frog is a great foreshadowing for this episode because frog is actually a slur for a French person because of a stereotype of French people where they eat frogs. I think we've all heard it. Oh, French people like frogs. So
Frog legs.
yeah, so it's actually a slur for French people to be called a frog, but it's also great foreshadowing for the rest of the episode, which we will talk about shortly.
Yep. And so because of Bart's messiness that goes from inside his room and pretty much down the hall,
Oh god. Okay,
Homer
we weren't
falls.
that bad.
No, we were not that bad. Homer falls down the stairs after stepping on Bart's skateboard and throws out his trick spine. Now, now, this is already, I think, the third or fourth episode where Homer
Falls down something.
falls down something, but the first time that we learn that he apparently has a trick spine.
Which I don't know what that really means or entails. Does that mean he's got a bad spine?
I think a bad spine. Maybe it was from one of his other times falling down, falling down a waterfall in the Bigfoot episode.
Yeah.
But the funny thing I noticed is, why didn't he shout for Bart? He shouts for Maggie, Marge, Lisa. He knows Bart's in the house. Bart slammed the door in his face. He knows he's there. Now, granted, yes, Bart's kind of a troubled kid and might not come help his dad. But, I mean, it's worth a shot instead of sitting there for hours.
Which leads me to my next question. So, when Homer falls down the stairs, I believe Maggie brings the Krusty the Clown doll.
Yep.
And I forget what the phrase is, but it lasts. It doesn't even shut off. It just keeps going. And then when Marge
it starts slowing down.
So when Marge and Lisa come home, that's where it slows down. First of all, how long was Homer on the ground in pain? And secondly, I remember having talking, action figures and dolls. Once you press the button, it says its phrase and it's done. So what kind of doll is this?
I don't know. Maybe it was just a crappy Krusty made doll.
I mean, So then after, they yell at Bart for breaking Homer's back, the next scene is we go to the school and Skinner is showing his mom around, Agnes Skinner, which is her first appearance. And I believe I read somewhere that her voice was slightly different for this episode. I believe it was a different actress.
It sounded a little bit off. I actually pulled up. We can keep going. I'll get to it in a minute.
All right. So as Seymour is introducing his mom to the kids, Agnes calls Skinner his nickname, which is Spanky. And for all of our viewers out there, for the longest time, I too actually had the nickname of Spanky. I have a few friends who still call me it. If you want a little backstory, basically I had a camp counselor who screwed up our last name and told me to be quiet and said Spanky, and hence why it was born. So we learned that Skinner's nickname is Spanky, which I don't remember if it ever comes up again in any other episode.
I don't think so, but we'll put that in our pin it file, and we'll come back to that. So Bart drops a cherry bomb, which he found. I mean, he's digging through his room. I mean, I'm surprised he found it with the amount of mess, the tiny cherry bomb.
I love how he's like, I thought I blew you guys all up.
I know. He's like, oh,
he's a troublemaker.
Yeah. But so, I mean, I almost want to do this as a part of our show. You guys can let me know. I kind of want to go episode through episode and figure out if we can go to a map and cross off states and actually see if we can pinpoint if they actually give us the location by a certain episode. Because so for Bart to have a cherry bomb, those aren't sold in every single state. Like in the state of Minnesota where I'm at, you can't buy them. But
I believe here in Wisconsin you can buy cherry bombs.
Wisconsin you can. So I'd like to kind of go through each state, where are these legal to purchase? Because I'm guessing Bart's not cross country buying fireworks.
No.
So maybe we'll pull up a map and go through these episodes and kind of pick little tiny things out that kind of reference where they might be living. And
see if we can Springfield. That's where they live.
Oh, hi, Ahmad. Okay, we'll get to that later.
Yeah. So,
all right. So he has a cherry bomb.
Thing.
Yep. He drops it in the toilet and causes it to explode. And Agnes is in the girls' bathroom. And all the toilets, plunge up and she gets shot into the sky.
How is she not dead?
It was just to think of it like a giant enema.
Yeah, but she got shot in the air. Like, you know how much pressure that would take for a toilet to shoot water out of to push like, you got to figure she weighs what, 150, 160? Like, that's got to be a lot of pressure to push a person in the air. Like, she went flying. Like, now granted, maybe the ceilings, are a little higher because it's a elementary school, but my God, like, the fall alone, I mean, would kill her.
All right,
Granted, this is The Simpsons, and physics in The Simpsons is not there, I guess you could say. They don't. I mean, they have some real world physics, and but in this instance, real world physics does not apply to this woman.
Yeah. All right. So going back to Agnes, according to my list of who does what voice, Agnes Skinner was only done by Tress McNally. I think that's how you pronounce the name.
Yeah, Tress McNeil, I believe.
Tress McNeely. No one else on my actor list.
Oh,
does
so maybe
Agnes,
he just kind of changed up the voice a little bit.
That's possible because they also do Dolph and a few just minor characters. Sunday school teacher, Brandine.
Oh, Brandine, Cletus's wife.
Cletus's wife. Yep, you're right. So that's so. I mean, maybe the voice just had to be altered slightly from this episode to
maybe. So after Agnes is blown in the air, Skinner takes Bart home, and I have a question for you and for viewers listening. What is going on with the Simpsons house? Because okay, in future episodes, when you walk into the Simpsons house, they have that big, archway that leads into the family room, and there's a couch that usually sits in front of that. And I believe there's also a couch that sits in front of the doorway to the den. I'm not 100% sure. But if you I don't know, it's really weird how you look at it. Because I believe in the Christmas episode, there was a couch in front of the den, but I believe in other episodes it's a chair.
Yep, you're talking on. So if you're facing the stair, if you're looking at the stairs, you got the couch in front of you, and then you got the armchair to the left, right?
Yeah, but
you're talking the armchair to the left.
Yeah, but in the Christmas episodes, it's a couch. But then when you watch this episode, there's a couch that you can see into the den. Like they're sitting on a couch and you can see into the den.
Yeah,
and not to the stairs.
According to my Lego Simpsons house, from what I could tell, it's set up correctly, and the episode is kind of wonky.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I kind of noticed that because I read your notes before I watched the episode, so I could really focus on that part. And yeah, I mean, it's a little bit.
It bugs me. It bugs me.
It might just be the animation too. I think it's just the way it's drawn. Maybe. So then so this is well after, Homer falls down the stairs and, he's hurt. He needs help. Now, to be fair, I've had a hernia before and I was laid up in my bed for, 2-3 days, couldn't walk up and down stairs and stuff like that.
As was I.
I don't feel like I was needy, but I definitely had comic books delivered and food brought to my room and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily say it's needy if he can't get up and walk around, but he does want a lot of things. He does want, the wieners with, what was it called?
I don't remember.
Oh, here we go. He wanted grilled cheese sandwiches, little wieners in a can, and fruit cocktail in heavy syrup. So for those of you that don't know, that syrup is really sugary, and you should get the fruit cups with just the fruit juice, not the heavy syrup. It's much better for you. Just to let you know.
So then Skinner is talking to Marge and Homer about the foreign exchange student program. Obviously, in this, in most foreign exchange student programs, you're sending a student to a different country to learn about that country and to study it and to speak the language, and then a family hosts another kid to learn in America. And Skinner says, oh yeah, you guys will be getting a kid from Albania, and Homer confuses the word albino with Albanian.
Yeah, so Homer's like, wait a minute, Skinner. How do we know some principal over in France isn't pulling the same scam you are? And Skinner's like, well, for one thing, you wouldn't be getting a French boy. You'd be
Yeah.
getting an Albanian. You mean all white with pink eyes?
Oh my
So
God.
so we
Homer.
we do know that Homer is dumb.
Homer. And especially in the next episode. I can't wait to talk about the next episode, but we'll
Yeah.
stick with this one. And as you know, as we've said, when you're hurt and you can't get up, you know, you need things. However, after, you know, they talk to Bart about, hey, would you be willing to go to France? He's like, all right, yeah, man. You see Homer jump off the couch and high five Skinner. And
Yeah.
first of all, his back was okay, apparently. Second of all, the scene just kind of ends.
Yeah, I would have loved like Marge in the background being like, "Oh, your back's not hurt anymore." You know how when you're sick or ill or hurt, you
Yeah.
kind of like, "Oh my God, I'm being weighed on hand and foot," and you
Yeah.
kind of try to let it go as
Yeah.
long as humanly possible. That might have been what Homer was doing. He's like, "You know what? I'm gonna ride this out until Marge figures it out."
And I believe this is the first episode where a Simpsons character has been out of the United States.
Yeah, I mean,
And they go all over
I
the world. So this is the first one, and it's France.
France is the first country they visit, and we'll
Well,
go over
Bart
all the
visits.
Bart visits, unfortunately, not the entire Simpsons clan.
Yeah. We'll get
All
there
right,
eventually.
so I do like that the steward literally throws Bart onto the plane. Like
Oh my
that's
God, that's great. He was just like a piece of luggage. Yeah, onto the plane, and then the very next scene, you just see him sitting there like nothing happened.
so I couldn't remember if this was when Bart leaves or when Bart comes back, but I think it just doesn't necessarily matter. But Springfield International Airport offers direct flights from Tirana, Albania, and Paris because it's announced over the PA.
Okay.
Now, once again, depending on where you live, direct flights are possible or not possible.
But
It
if you're going overseas, I don't think it is, unless you're leaving like New York, like
well, New
to
York's
like
are well, New York's are usually direct, but like the Chicago Midwest region, usually it's layovers in like
yeah.
the UK or
But well, no, like if you're leaving out of O'Hare, don't you have to go to New York then go to
then
Europe?
yep, some yeah. Well, even like when
I
I
don't think
even when
I don't think O'Hare or like Minnesota have direct flights to like overseas.
so I mean, it depends on the plane too. Nowadays planes can obviously fly a lot further, but even
That's
I think
true.
in the 90s, I mean, okay, so I flew Chicago to Jerusalem nonstop.
Really?
Yep, but that was late 90s, so I don't know
Okay.
if flights were necessarily better because mom, she said she flew from Milwaukee to New York to Jerusalem when she did her Israel trip.
Okay.
So I guess it just depends on when these planes had enough gas to take
Yeah.
you to
I've
full
I've never
stops.
been to Europe or the Middle East. The farthest I've gone out of the United States is the Caribbean, which is nice, but we drove to Florida and got on a ship.
Yeah. So, next up, Albanian's kid name is Adil Haksa.
So, I don't know, like when you were in school. I know for sure when I was in elementary school, I don't remember ever seeing a foreign exchange student, and if there was, I don't ever remember doing an assembly that introduces the foreign exchange student.
I don't honestly, I'm trying to remember because the only time I've ever dealt with a foreign exchange student was in 5th grade or 6th grade for French class. If you took French, you got to be part of the foreign exchange student, but since I took Spanish, I didn't.
Uh,
That almost made me want to take French. It
so you could go to
almost
France.
so I could go to France. It was so close, but I'm like, you know what? It was kind of one of those things like when am I going to use French versus Spanish? I felt Spanish was more of a language that I would need to know as
Yeah,
opposed to French where it's not really spoken all too often in the United States.
yeah. So yeah, they get a deal. They introduce him to the school. And they're like, make him feel welcome. And at the end of like when he's done talking, I don't know if it was the animation, but if I remember correctly, there was kind of like a sinister like
Oh
shadow
yeah.
on him.
Yep, because they knew he was. Well, he knew he was there for no good, but
Yeah.
so I
So,
mean, and I love how he's fluent in English.
yeah.
Not,
I
I
mean,
mean,
he's Albanian. I'm sure he can learn English in Albania.
no, but I feel like that was more of his like Albanian spy. They taught
Training.
him English. Yeah, 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 yeah. Not, I don't think a normal foreign exchange student would be as fluent.
They might know a few
I
words
would,
here
they
and
might know a
there.
few words because I mean, in fifth grade or sixth grade, whenever we had it, I knew my friend that went to France. I knew she wasn't entirely fluent in French. I mean, she knew enough to get by and to stay with a family, but he pretty much spoke pretty good English from what I could tell.
Oh, well, I mean, it. I'm just looking something up as
All
we're
right.
talking.
Well,
So Bart lands in France, and he's met by his what would you call them? The host
host
people,
family.
because they're not really parents.
No, well, which is weird because I feel like they should be Bart should be staying with a family.
Yeah. Oh, that is
But
true.
but yeah, I would say guardians.
Guardians, and they steal all of his stuff, and they give his red hat to their donkey Maurice. The two guys that pick Bart up for the airport in France, they are named Cesar and Huguelan, and they are named after the peasants from the 1986 French language films Jean de Florette and I'm assuming Manon de Sources. I don't know how to say.
Sources.
Well, I don't know how to say that in French.
Fair
So
enough.
if you know French and you know those French language films from 1986, please school me on how to say that because I have no idea.
And this next part, I had no idea. I didn't.
Yeah, I
I'm
kind
guessing
of
you must have
figured.
looked it up.
I did look it up, and I kind of figured it had to deal with paintings, but I didn't know which ones.
Gotcha. Yeah, it
So
was really weird to see. I guess I didn't necessarily notice it, but yeah, we got Claude Monet, Vincent Van Gogh,
Henry
Henry.
Rousseau
Yep,
and
and
Edouard
Edward.
Manet.
Yeah, Manet,
Yeah.
Monet,
So
not
so
Monet.
Manet.
Manet. It
So
must be
yeah,
his half brother,
yeah. So
Manet.
Barton Ugalan cycle pass scenes depicted in several famous paintings by those artists. We're not going to try to pronounce any of the paintings' names because they're all in French, and
Yep.
I
If
don't.
you if you'd
I
like, you
know.
can see them on our Facebook page. I'll post them on there for you guys to look at, and you guys can help us out a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so back at the Simpson home, Adil says Marge has been oppressed enough for the day after making dinner, and so he wants to clean up. I was like, oh my god, that is just. I don't know if that's
I think he
obviously
was just
not.
trying to be nice to keep up the persona.
Yes, but I would have to assume that that's like an Albanian culture. Like women are oppressed in Albania.
I mean, they used to be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so like in here, Adil sees Marge working, to the bone, and
Yeah.
he's like, okay, I'll help you out. I'll take over. And then so we shoot back to France, where Bart is having a horrible time. He has to sleep on the floor
What was he
and doesn't
eating?
get
Like
any food.
a turnip or
A
something?
turnip, yeah. And I love how he has like the pile of hay to sleep in. The donkey
Yeah.
comes over and lays on it. And Bart has to sleep on the floor.
Yeah.
So back
The
to
Simpsons.
Springfield. After Homer says it's okay for Adil to come to the power plant, Adil steals Mr. Burns. Excellent.
Which I don't think it was really Mr. Burns at that time because I don't really remember ever hearing him say that yet. But it's definitely associated with Mr. Burns.
Maybe he said it first, and someone in the writers' room was like, "That's a good idea,"
Maybe.
and moved it over to Mr. Burns. We'll see the next time we see Mr. Burns if excellent is
Yes.
uttered.
I do like the fact that Homer only knows where things are in the plant based on the vending machines.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a
Well,
glutton, so, he's going to go to vending machines. So, like, oh, yeah, it's by the vending machine on level 3. Oh, that's where that is.
yeah, but Homer's a safety inspector. He should know where things are, but
He should.
he should. This is how bad of a job he does at the plant. And right after that, this is where we learn that Adil is really a spy from Albania wanting to steal nuclear power plant secrets, which, once again, I mean, you maybe Adil and the Albanian government was like, okay, we're so close to Chernobyl, they happen to really mess up.
Yep.
Let's figure out the correct way to do it. Not that talking to the worst safety inspector in nuclear power plant history is a good way to learn how to run a proper power plant.
And I like the fact that as Deal is taking pictures, Homer is getting in front of every single one.
Now, okay. Now, this might have been happening for years. Who knows? But I personally have never heard of the term photobombing until probably the mid 2000s.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe maybe later than that. I honestly can't think of a time in the 1990 where photobombing was.
I think photobombing was coined in the 2000s, but it's definitely like you look at older pictures from the 80s, 90s, 70s. There's definitely there was photobombing going on. I don't know if people back in the day had a word for it.
Yeah, if you're a listener from that era, let us know if photobombing is something that you did, because we do have just kind of looking at our analytics here. We do have people. Well, I guess our highest age range is 35 to 44, so not quite in that.
Not quite, because that's our age range.
That is our age range. So, but if we get some new listeners that are in the 50 to 60s-year-old.
Or if you want to ask your parents.
Or ask your parents for us, because we're too lazy to ask our
own. And then we go back to The Simpsons, and The Simpsons, Homer's talking about how great a deal is, and Marge is missing Bart because Bart hasn't written to her. And you see, so we talked about this because you texted me about this. So if you're looking at the screen, Homer is screen left on the bed, which is where he normally sleeps. If you're in The Simpsons household, he is on the right side of the bed.
Yes, and I don't know how many episodes back we've been arguing over this, but I feel like Homer is now in the correct spot.
I think so. I don't think he's going to move ever again. I think that is his side of the bed.
Okay, we're going to set that in stone right now. If for some reason it changes, we will let you know.
Yep.
All right, so shot back to France, and the French guys are really working Bart really hard, and his lower extremities become semi-permanently stained from squishing grapes. Like from there on out, from after you see him squishing grapes, just down below his shins and to his feet, they're purple.
I mean, juice does stain. I don't know if it stains skin that badly.
Well, then again, he wasn't allowed to take a shower. Yeah. I'm assuming, because by the time he's running in downtown Paris, he's filthy. And they're on this really downtrodden chateau of winemaking, so I don't know if he's even allowed to bathe or anything.
So we see Bart, miserable, sitting in whatever chateau he's staying at, and Marge sent him a letter, saying, oh, Homer's doing this, Lisa's doing this. But the thing that caught me in her letter was she says Maggie's first word is coming any day now. Now, mind you, this is episode 11, season 1. I do know Maggie has said at least one word in her existence as a baby. I believe it was Dada.
Yes, it was.
But I like the fact that she's like, oh yeah, Maggie's first word is coming any day now, and it takes 20 seasons?
We'll see. When Maggie says her first word, we'll flashback. We'll do a flashback episode to season 1. And we'll let you know.
Yeah, Maggie's first word is coming any day now. Yeah, 20 years later.
Yep. So for those of you that don't know, it is illegal to put antifreeze in wine, because that's what our winemakers, after 3 days of fermenting wine, which that is not the length of time it takes to ferment wine.
No, it is not. I don't know how long it takes to ferment wine, but
mostly, so if it's, I would say 3 weeks at its minimum to get it really good. I mean, I'm sure they ferment them 2 to 3 months at some vineyards to get that right taste. But these guys want to kind of get it along a little bit. So they put antifreeze in the wine. So they send Bart out to, I don't know if it was really Paris, but it was some French city nearby. And Bart runs into a police officer, and he, can't translate. The police officer thinks he wants a piece of gum, which Bart takes because he's really hungry. Uh,
Yeah.
but apparently you can learn French being in an area for, what was it, a month, 3 weeks,
A month, maybe?
a month, and he picked up on it. I mean, that was pretty good. And it is real French that he speaks, and I love the translation. So you gotta help me. These two guys work me day and night.
Right.
They don't feed me. They make me sleep on the floor. They put antifreeze in the wine, and they gave my red hat to the donkey. And of all that stuff, the policeman pulls out antifreeze in the wine. That's a very serious crime.
Yeah.
So treating Bart horribly and giving his red hat to the donkey, not high on the
That's fine.
not high on the list. But the antifreeze, that's where they draw the line.
Yeah.
And so Bart becomes a hero because he turns in the winemakers.
Like, he gets put on magazines and he gets a medal, and he's hailed as a hero because, the stereotype French people like their wine.
Yep. Even
So
if it has
then
antifreeze in it.
Oh, yeah. So then we flash back. Well, not really flashback, but we go back to Springfield, and the American government has pinpointed the Sparrow, which is Adil's handle name, right? Is that the right word I'm looking for?
The Sparrow, yep.
Yeah. And Homer is oblivious to the fact that Adil is a spy. And
well, he's also oblivious to the fact that it's his house.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like it's okay. So throughout season 1 so far, Homer does not realize he's in his own house.
Yeah.
For the life of me, the treehouse in the backyard with Grandpa. I mean, just so many different things. Homer just doesn't realize that where he has like no spatial awareness.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And so, so they exchange the spies at the airport, and the American spy looks a lot like Bart, which, I mean, maybe that used to be foreshadowing. Bart becomes an international spy.
Yes. Yeah, it was really weird. And I love the fact that Adil's like, I think I'm getting too old for this. And they're like, what, 10?
10.
Like, Jesus. I mean, I guess kids make great spies because they're innocent looking.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the Russian spy technique where you kind of groom women to be, sex objects to get into parties and stuff like that. So maybe that was kind of what they were pinballing with, the idea of someone who wouldn't normally fit your average spy being able to infiltrate. So gifts from Bart. Bart comes back from France with a bottle of wine. God willing, it doesn't have any antifreeze in it. A new dress for Marge, which I don't think she'll ever wear.
Well, she was wearing it
in that episode.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she'll ever wear it.
Oh, probably
ever
not.
Again. A shirt with the Eiffel Tower on it for Homer. Mini guillotine for Lisa, which it just seems, maybe it was like a
toy guillotine.
A toy guillotine? I don't know. But I guess Lisa would like that. And then Bart's French gift to Maggie is a balloon.
Yeah, and it's a reference to Les Ballons Rouges, a short French children's film, which, okay, thanks, Simpsons.
I do like that Maggie is light enough to be lifted by the balloon.
Yeah, what does she weigh? 20 pounds?
Yeah.
I mean, does helium lift 20 pounds?
I don't think so.
I mean, I guess if there's enough. So, a couple other notes about this episode. So that's the end of the episode. We'll get into our final thoughts in a second here. But so when they're at the airport in Albania, when the parents are sending Adil away, they're actually speaking real Albanian. Like, the writers wanted this like authentic, like they wanted it, and it's great. Like that's great freaking detail.
Yep.
And then they chose Albania because there's not a whole lot of cartoons that are based in Albania, but they chose Albania to honor John Belushi because of his Albanian heritage.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's
Yeah.
something I got to learn this episode.
Also, another little thing here. They gave Adil his last name of Hoxha to it's for a former leader of Albania, Enver Hoxha. So that's where they got some of their stuff from for this show.
Well, that's good. I'm glad the Simpsons writers did their research this episode.
Yes.
So this is probably the most researched episode so far.
Yes. And I'm pretty sure the French that was spoken by Bart was also real French.
I'm sure it was. All right, so final thoughts. This was definitely not my favorite episode. I don't know. This one has always made my head kind of hurt a little bit.
Is it all the different languages?
No, I don't think it's that. I just think, I don't know, like Bart being an exchange student, and
but he wasn't really an exchange student. They were just trying to get rid of him for a few.
Yeah, right. I don't think that's allowed either. I don't know. The episode doesn't seem to rub me the right way. I mean, as far as comical parts, it was literally just the beginning, the cherry bomb stuff. Like that was probably the funniest part of the episode. I mean, to me, out of our five scale rating, I'm gonna go with 2 Eat My Shorts.
Ooh, when I remember when I first saw this episode as a kid, and I think as a kid I enjoyed it just because it was colorful. Because it's a cartoon, and I enjoyed any cartoon. Like I didn't really like look at the substance, look at how it was written, and I like this episode. I think they put the research in, they put their time, they wanted to make a good episode. I think it showed that while Bart is a troublemaker, he is capable of remorse, and he's capable of learning when he's done wrong and when to care for his family. It showed some character development on his end. They kept with the theme that Homer's an idiot, and Lisa and Marge aren't in it a whole lot. But I will give it a sprinkles. I enjoyed it. I mean, there's a couple things that bugged me, but it's nothing they could really control because it's season 1 and they're still getting their footing on The Simpsons.
Yeah, there was one speech though that did kind of hit pretty hard for even now, as in the 90s. So Adil and Lisa arguing at the dinner table. How can you defend a country where 5% of the people control 95% of the wealth? And Lisa's like, I'm defending a country where people can think and act and worship any way they want. And Deal's like, cannot. Lisa's like, can too. Cannot. Can too. Homer's like, please, kids, stop fighting. Maybe Lisa's right about America being the land of opportunity. And maybe Adil has a point about the machinery of capitalism being oiled with the blood of the workers.
Yeah, that one hits a little close to home.
Yeah. But it's just things like that in episodes that are like, it doesn't seem very Simpson-y to me.
You gotta remember that when The Simpsons first came out, they were kind of South Park before South Park was South Park.
A little bit. Oh yeah.
Their first few seasons definitely touched on more societal and political things. And yes, there's a couple of political episodes here and there, especially I think the last few years, maybe. Again, I haven't watched the last 5-6 years, but the first few seasons, there's definitely stuff in there, and obviously you get your Bigfoot episode and you get stuff like that, but there's definitely some political and societal stuff, which I think is great, and I think a lot of it that The Simpsons do is still relevant to this day from their old episodes. So that stuff really doesn't bother me because, you know what? Art imitates life.
Yep. All right, so let's close it out like always with our character profile. And this week we got our French baddies of Ogolin and César. Their occupation is evil French winemakers.
Now, are they evil because they put antifreeze in it? Or are you just calling it like they're bad people, but I don't know if I call them evil.
Evil French winemakers.
How evil?
Very. They're French, come on.
Wow, stereotypes.
I know. Their home vineyard is Chateau Masson, which I do love the photo that Skinner showed was this beautiful like white vineyard, and it's actually a rundown piece of trash.
Oh yeah.
Their secret ingredient is antifreeze.
Yep.
Examples of hospitality: making guests sleep on the floor, using them as slaves in their vineyard or their vineyard, and testing possibly fatal wines on them. Now, doesn't that sound like a place that you would want to stay?
Absolutely. Free wine, sign me up.
Free poison wine.
Free wine with antifreeze, who cares?
Exactly.
It might make me go blind, but so yeah, that's episode 11.
All right, guys. So okay, so we'll tell you where we can find us one more time. By now, hopefully you have found us. Yes. We might sprinkle in here or there, but we'll let you guys know kind of on and off. But just to let you know, you can find us on Instagram at The Simpsons.
Do you not remember her name?
The Simpsons Did It Pod.
There you go.
Wow, it's been a while.
Okay, so you can find us on Instagram at The Simpsons Did It Pod.
On Facebook, just type in The Simpsons Did It to get to our page. On Twitter, The Simpsons Did It PC for podcast. You can listen to our podcast on all the major podcasting networks. And you can also listen to us Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Cuyahoga Valley Radio Network.
So just like when The Simpsons air on Sunday, you can hear us on Monday at 8/7 Central.
Exactly. And if you are wondering where you could find that radio station, I currently use Simple Radio. It's an app on Android or Apple devices you can download and just type in Cuyahoga Valley Radio Network.
Yep. And
listen to us on Monday. They do have a lot of other awesome programming as well, so check it out. So until next time, I'm Steven Sklansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Sklansky.
And this has been The Simpsons Did It.
Shh.